I've been scouring the trending chord patterns from this year that I think will really jazz up your stale compositions. It's just as important to think about sound selection and sound design though, so thanks to Roly, today's sponsor, I'll be sprinkling some of those tips in as we go through the episode as well. Let's dive into it. If you want to grab the 5 chord progressions featured in this video, plus 5 more and a bonus episode, just head over to the Patreon. So first up, due to the outstanding success of One Heart's Snowfall, Ambient is still such a dominating genre, and I suspect that will be the case moving into next year too. You want to start off your progression with these easy triads: B flat major, C major, G minor, and A minor. That'll work just fine on easy mode, but if we want to spice things up, if you add a top C to the first chord, an A sharp to the second, A to the third, and G to the last, you're now mixing in sevenths and ninths to give a more jazzy, emotional feel. Taking things away from the piano and onto a pad gives so much more of that distant, lonely feel. I love using this C-board rise too, because as you dig into the keys, it kind of opens up the EQ, making the chords feel so much more dynamic. If you want even more narrative to these and not feel like it tumbles down and jumps back up, invert the C on the second loop and with hold playing the last chord. Central C has been exploding in the charts this year and doesn't seem to be slowing down. These chords are very much inspired by his work. So we're going to start with E flat minor, and then we're going down to the F5. This is a big stretch. F, C, and then F, can just about reach it. And then we're going up to the B flat 5. So B flat, and then the F, and then just about reach it again. The B flat, F, and then the B flat on top there. Just 3 easy chords here with a lot of tension. If you arpeggiate these chords in a lazy triplet manner on something like a plucked instrument, it's going to give you that drill feeling you're after. Fun fact, if you bring that tempo down, it will also work fantastically with an Amapiano groove. G minor to E flat major is such a common occurrence in so many genres, but we hear it time and time again in EDM and house. We're going to have you work a little bit harder with this chord progression, but I promise you the shapes are easy to play. We're going to start with a G minor triad. I'm going to keep our thumb and finger on these 2 notes, move down to the E flat major. Move down once again to the C minor. We'll keep our thumb and index finger here. Move down to that C minor. Move back up to the E flat major. And then we're just going to land on a lovely F major. So down to that C minor, and then you just work your way back up to a lovely resolve. Despite the sound design being relatively simple, the magic lies in the feel of this progression. So pushing your 2nd, 4th, and 5th chords gives it a slightly rushed feel. What do I mean by pushing the chords? They just play ever so slightly ahead of the bar line on the upbeat. Listen to it with the click. I think there will always be time for jazz, and with the buzz still surrounding lo-fi genres and the phenomenal work of Leifei, I hope I pronounced that right, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we're starting things off with the E flat minor, which is all black keys once again. We're going to move to the A flat major, so we're going to have G sharp, C, and the D sharp here. And then we're going to move down to the D flat major. So we're going to have our F, G sharp, and C sharp. And then for the F minor 7, we're just going to switch from our ring finger to our little finger here. To give it an even jazzier sound, let's add an E sharp to the first 2 chords. It gives us this romantic tension before we dive into the arms of the 3rd chord. If you want more of a lo-fi vinyl sound, just add something like RC20. I have a ton of Ableton devices you can use over at the Patreon too, but just something to low pass this piano a little, giving it a bit of pitch wobble. Okay, finally my favorite example. Let's talk about future bass. EDM, IDM, future garage, UKG, the list goes on. The subgenres vary, but there's one thing for sure. Folks love a sharp saw wave, skippy beats, and a big fat 808. But how do you design a chord progression for this type of genre? It's all about a rhythmic playing style. Let's start with the chords. It's just G flat minor, D flat minor, and D major. That's it, just 3 easy triads. But in your playing style, you're going to miss the first beat of the bar in the first and last chords and play a more percussive pattern, like this. Did you notice how the first chord pattern overstepped the bar line too? It adds tension to your playing, even though it's a very simple pattern. Of course, this doesn't sound too future bassy yet. So let's grab a nice big saw. I've made this from a preset in Equator 2, so I can use the MPE functions on the Seaboard Rise 2. Once you've got that progression in the right sounding saw synth, it's all about automating that instrument. Pitch bending some notes and modulating between sharp plucks and rising sweeps. Sometimes chopping this progression up in audio can also help. Check this out. At first glance, it's probably quite overwhelming to assign effects from Equator 2 to the Seaboard Rise 2, but it really couldn't be easier. If we wanted to swap out Macro 1 or Fader 1 from the faded attack effect to something like the phaser, we'd just right-click, change it from Envelope 2 to Effect 2, and select Phaser Mix. And now we have a phaser effect. It's that simple. So that's all I've got for today's video, guys, but thanks so much for swinging by as always, and let me know what you want to see in future videos. Big shout out to Rolly, who are today's sponsor. If you want to find out more about them, maybe grab yourself a Seaboard Rise 2 and just visit the link in the description below. As I mentioned, if you want to grab these chord progressions plus some bonuses, they'll be over at the Patreon waiting for you today. Thanks so much for swinging by, and I'll catch you next time.